Hello kapamilya, this is Migs Bustos and we are in the house. And for today makakasama natin ang none other than Olympian pole vaulter, ranked third in the world. Walang iba, kundi ang Pinoy Pride na si EJ Obiena. EJ,
thank you,
nice
Sir
to reconnect
Migs.
with you again in person.
Thank you, Sir Migs.
Right here in the Philippines. Of course, this is a catch-up interview. We've done so many interviews already, but at least for our audience na first time ito mapapanood, first time ito makikilala. In terms of skill, where you are right now, of where you want to be, how would you describe where your career is taking you now?
I think I'm at that part where I need to work on the details. Talagang yung nitty-gritty na yung I need to be a bit meticulous on the way I train, the way I perform. That's what's gonna push me a little bit more to a better position.
Kilala ka ng mga tao as EJ Obiena, the pole vaulter, the Olympian, the Philippine athlete. But I'm sure there are much more details that they want to know more about you. Paano ka nagsimula sa pole vault? Paano ba yung naging influence ang family mo? If you could tell us that backstory.
Well, my dad definitely was the biggest reason I take pole vaulting or took up pole vaulting at a very early age of 4, 5, or 6 years old. I can't exactly remember what's the first time I hold a pole. My family is very sports oriented. All 4 of us played track and field, all sports. My mom was a hurdler. My sister was also a pole vaulter and hurdler. I was a hurdler, then became a pole vaulter, and then my dad is a pole vaulter. So yeah, we're a family of athletes, and that's why I got a good support team behind me.
Ilan kayo magkakapatid?
Dalawa lang po.
Okay, so you started off sa hurdles. Tama
Yes,
ba?
yes.
Okay, but around what age?
Around 9, 10, yeah, I started hurdling.
When it comes to pole vault, kailan ka nagsimula and what made you fall in love with it?
Well, I started pole vault because there's actually a competition already. I've been vaulting. My focus was more on hurdles. I did enjoy it. And what pushed me, quite simple, there's now a competition. I can compete. I have a way to gauge myself, test my competitive skill. But I think when I was young, it was just more, finally there's a competition in an event that I have trained quite some time.
How did your dad coach you in a way? May mga ilang athletes na coach lang dad nila. Was there like a separation when you're in the field? He's a coach when he's at home. And sometimes it's inevitable, EJ.
Yeah.
Na hindi mo masiseparate yung dalawa.
It's hard. I think that's one of the hardest things I've done is train under my dad. It's those lines. Those lines are very thin and blurred most of the time. When you have a coach, like in tennis, you had a bad day in the court, it's done. After you walk away in the court, it's done. You go to the house, it's a totally different system or box. But when your dad is with your coach,
Right.
Jesus, that is terrible. Like, trust me, you had a bad day in the track,
Yeah.
you have a bad day in dinner table, you have a bad day in the bed, you have a bad day in the breakfast. Like, it just brings it there. You know, it's not because that he cannot segregate it. It truly is just that. He was so passionate about the sport. It was tough to train under him.
Even if naging ganun yung situation yung at home. But how did that mold you as a competitor?
Our situation always was driven because I want to get better. It wasn't, oh, my dad was the main driver. No, it was me wanting to be better. And I don't like losing. Everybody knows, but just I think I take it a little bit worse than everyone else, I would say. I wouldn't say that there's a direct connection between the way my dad trained me to me being a competitor.
Just for clarification, you spent your years here in US. How many years was that?
4 years.
4 years. And you took up engineering. if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
electronics.
Electronics engineering. What was student life like?
Hard. I don't want to be going through all of that again. It's waking up as early as 4 a.m., driving to Pasig, because that jumping area there was not there yet. So I needed to drive early on and then come back here around 10, like 11. Most of the time I'm late. Parking is terrible. After that, I need to train. Either I train in IPEA, which is quite good now. So, you know, I can train there, find the weightlifting, whatever I need to do, go back home, which is another 20, 30 minutes. What's worse is, you know, I'm taking up engineering. There's a lot of things, requirements from us. It's quite hard to maintain my academic side and student, and that student-athlete life balances is always tricky, and oftentimes they're not sabog ako talaga. Like really, I walk this campus like half asleep, and it's an experience that made me who I am now.
Right.
The way I approach things, it's not that difficult these days because I went through that tough path. Being a student athlete is no joke.
Yun naman ang gusto natin kay EJ, real talk lang. Diba? I mean, it's not always gonna be just because it's EJ Obiena, he had it easy. Mostly challenges into the person that you are now as a competitor. Not just on the track, not just on the vault, but in real life experiences as well. When did you decide to, I think I gotta go to Europe. If I'm going to eventually pursue pole vaulting, it has to be there. What was that decision like to migrate to where you're based now?
Well, I always thought that I can balance both, and then studies getting harder, and then training is getting harder. And then I started to get sick and sick and sick, and I'm like, this is actually quite tough. But that was the first hint. That was just the first sign of it. And then suddenly, I had an accident, which is I torn my ACL, but totally different. It was not because I was lack of sleep, and then pole vaulting was taken away, and I felt I needed to try and have the best shot. I knew it then and then. I need to go and train with Vitaly to compensate from whatever happened to my knee, and hopefully be a better pole vaulter moving forward.
Naging factor yung pag tear ng ACL.
Yeah, I mean, I had 6 months to kind of ponder and think about what am I gonna do with
Right.
my life. At 2017, I was already Southeast Asian medalist. I already hold the Southeast record. I hold the Philippine record. I was a decent athlete. Yeah, I had decisions to make that would change the trajectory of my life.
How many years ka na in Italy? Living?
In a way, 3 years.
3 years na, 3 years.
Yeah.
So we can't imagine living alone in a foreign land without family. Siguro para sa mga nanonood ngayon who are going through the same, you handle your challenges alone. I mean, if you do, how do you cope with some stress, anxiety challenges? How does that make you stronger every day?
Well, first I have a very clear perspective of the things I need to do to achieve what I want. It's the price I need to pay to be where I want to be. That makes everything a little bit more bearable, understandable, and have faith that what I'm doing is for something. I'm not there because of random circumstances just gave me that door. No, I knew I needed to be there to be better, and I need to be with my coach to be where I want to be. And if that means I need to stay there for 3 years, then that's what it's going to take for me. Dealing with it, of course, is still another factor. I think crawls to me during off season because I have a lot of time, but most of the time I just keep myself busy.
I asked this before, EJ, about your struggles with Patafa. I'm not gonna go into detail, but the toll that it took on you, we cannot imagine what's that like. Things that were thrown your way, the back and forth, the drama that came with it, and of course you were there, people were here. What kind of challenge was that for you?
Maybe actually it helped that I was there. If I'm here, maybe I'm already dead. But kidding aside, if I'm here, I'm probably way more overwhelmed. At least I was there. There was this buffer of things. I can't imagine what my dad and my mom needed to endure through those times. And part of this year, I would say, because it took more than what I think it took. It took a lot already. Like my mental health was just really terrible. It wasn't seen, but if you do talk to my psychologist, and maybe one day I do write a book, you'll see how much toll it takes from an athlete to be in the spotlight in the wrong way. My personal life, my family being dragged into it out of proportions, and yeah, you're being called a thief in your home country. It's
But not a lot believe that.
yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. It's in the print. It does suck.
Yeah.
It sucked. It's not a fear. It was more I carry myself in a certain way, and I take this with pride and honor, the name that I've made for myself. Suddenly, it is in shambles, and it's I saw it as a thing that was thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
What's worse, even my family, who has nothing to do with it, was dragged into it, especially my mom.
Yeah, we haven't heard much, at least in the news or in print, about the comments from your family. But at least from home, how did they take it? How did they handle it?
Now they're okay. I'm amazed on how well they were able to really just absorb it and be able to know, thanks to really just my grandma. She has this very deep spiritual understanding. The way she approached the issue, she always just told my parents, if there was nothing done, the truth will come out. There will be vindication for your name. You have nothing to worry about. You don't need to do anything. Don't think ill about the other guys, and just let it take its course.
It did?
Yeah, it did. I don't know. So, of course it did, but I wouldn't say that it was okay now. I don't feel like it's okay. Having experienced all of that, nothing about that is okay.
But even if during the height of those times, EJ, you're still competing. And you were still able to compete at a high level.
Oh,
For your standards, do you think that parang, wow, even if I'm going through this, okay pala yung performance ko? Or it could be better?
that's one of the things. I saw that I could do better. My coach saw that, because he always thought that, mentally I'm a little bit weak. It's not a secret about that. And he have handled athletes who are strong. But then he realized that there's a certain part of me that kicks the freaking door down and actually do the things that I need to do. And I think I learned that, and he understood it as well. He asked me during those times, like, how can you still compete? And I was like, well, I'm a Filipino. I meant that, and I'm proud of that. Those were, the times that I was driving 5 in the morning, going to the training in UST. I guess made me strong. Kind of let me handle, being a student athlete, balance my training and crisis handling situation in a way. And
So
yeah.
in a way, nakatulong pala yun. Sabi ko sa athlete life.
Oh Jesus!
I mean, very literally to something figurative, right?
Yeah, and I think looking now, at least now, the only positive thing that I would say, it made pole vaulting much simpler. It's not life or death situation.
Right.
It's not a reputation. It's a sport. At the end of the day, pole vaulting is a sport.
Right. For the ones that are watching this, medyo nag-sunset na, maganda naman yung golden hour dito, kaya medyo madilim na ng konti. But we're down to our last two questions. EJ, what is your reaction now to, ako ito yung personal kong view. You have made a name for yourself. You fought for what you want to achieve. In the Olympics, with your issues with Patafa, hindi ka nag-back down. People admired you for that. Maybe some didn't, but people, you certainly got the attention of many. And now you're here in the Philippines. I've seen it in social media too, that, uy, EJ Obiena. Nakikilala yung pole vault kay EJ Obiena. Nakikilala yung si EJ Obiena dahil sa pole vault. Is that something that you've imagined or maybe dreamed about?
Not in a million years. I've imagined I'm gonna be the face of, pole vaulting. I do want to make a difference. I wanted that for a very, very long time, but it wasn't something that I thought would ever be possible. It's like an Olympic dream. I've never thought I'm gonna be in Olympics. I've always wanted to, but you never know if it's actually gonna come true. And yeah, it's now that I see it, it's quite daunting, that responsibility. The people do recognize you, the people do follow you, and kids do imitate what you do. Therefore, the way I need to carry myself is in a totally different level. I need to be the best version of me.
Right.
For these kids, I would believe the next generation to be better than who I am now.
So di mo ito na-imagine?
Really, I'm still overwhelmed.
Yeah. Lumalaki na yung pangalan ni EJ Obiena. Of course, with the attention, also come the endorsements. Come in the way. And EJ was telling us earlier off cam, he's had a full schedule. Walang pahinga si EJ with shoots,
Unfortunately.
with responsibilities. How's that life now for you?
This kind of life would not allow me to be the best EJ come Paris. I need to manage some stuff, and I need to learn how to say no to certain things. And that is something that I'm still trying to learn and to work on. That's why I have Vanya now to help me deal with that. I hope I'll be able to cope with it. One of the reasons why this is to unburden. There's a lot of expenses to being an Olympic athlete, and I hope that I would not need to ask the taxpayer, hey, please guys, can you please help me go to the Paris Olympics? I would just hope to unburden them. I do understand it takes a village, and I'm just trying to make my village as big as I can.
Lastly, EJ, what would be next for you? Until when are you going to be in the Philippines? What's it going to be like in the next few months? And I know that you're targeting 2024.
I'm flying in 4 days. Next goal is to jump 6 meters, be competitive for the next 3 seasons that I have, be consistent as much as I can, and hopefully with all that in mind, Paris will come, and I'll be the best version of myself, the best athlete that I can be. Hopefully be able to bring medal back home, and that's my probably my short and midget goals in mind.
Just for our audience now, Mondo Duplantis.
Yeah.
Siya ang number 1 pole vaulter ngayon. It seemed like he's so invincible na paano mo ba matatalo?
Oh Jesus, this question.
Natalo mo siya ng sa isang competition. Right? But what was going on behind the scenes? I know you guys magkakasama naman kayo, mag-friends naman kayo lahat. But then eventually, when that result came out, what were their reactions? How did you do it? Yeah.
People were saying so one of the veteran pole vaulters who are actually touring, he's out of the field already. He approached me, I think 2 days after. He said, "I'm not gonna call you EJ anymore." I said, "Why?"
Right.
I would call you. It was David. Yeah, David. It's like, what? Yeah,
Just
because
beat
you.
Goliath.
Yeah, you just beat you. You made the Goliath fall. It's like, wow. I was like, wow, thank you so
Big
much.
word,
man.
big
Yeah,
word.
big
And he
words.
meant it.
Yeah, he meant it. It was a joke, but it was funny, and a lot of people said, I've done the impossible, but at the same time, Mondo congratulated me, which is as he has shown, he's a true champion. Yeah, that day was one of those days that me and my coach were on the same page. We were clicking, though physically I was not fully there, like not in my peak form. My trust with my coach's trust with me, in the way that he sends the cues were just clicking. All the tactics that we planned just really rolled, and we're able to execute to literally to the centimeters. And those are the days that I do pole vaulting, and those are the days that I fight for and long for. And I hope that I'll have more of those days soon.
Lastly, EJ, what will it take to be number 1?
Be consistent at 6:15, 6:10. It's hard now because I'm unfortunately born in the era of Mondo Duplantis, and as much as I want to, I do understand that he's a generational talent. For me, it's all about winning medals and winning in the championship. I think that's jumping 620 is quite hard, and I would say right now it's still far from where I could be, or where I see I could be in the next 2 years. But winning Paris is not impossible. It doesn't, as you have seen, it doesn't take 6 meters or 621 to beat Mondo. Not every day you can jump that, and he understands it, I understand it too. So my key is really consistency.
There you have it, EJ Obiena in the house right here on ABS-CBN Sports. Thanks, EJ.
Thanks, Migs. Thank you, Sir Migs.